I'd definitely pick it again. Just the vibe, you know, Hong Kong's great. Café 8 is just my kind of cafe. When I walked in, I don't remember how I found it. I walked in and the vibe, the ambience, the peace, it was just lovely. So I knew that this was going to be a great place for me to hang out in Hong Kong. From here, you can go to the islands, you can go up to IFC Terrace, take your own food up there if you want. And then there's a fantastic view of the harbour here, which, you know, sometimes you have to pay for, but this is all free. The other thing is the cake here is just sublime. Carrot cake is the best. I think it's quite a British kind of thing, isn't it? But it's got a very nice icing topping as well, which is really, really nice. So I don't think it's similar. I mean, that's why I liked it when I got here. I thought, no, this is a real adventure, this is different. I think the combination of water and mountains is just beautiful. I've always liked that. I used to like the Italian lakes, for example. And so you've got that. And you've got the island, you know, you can just sit from here, you can just go out to the island, hike around, and have a fish, seafood lunch. It's the variety. It's a city, but it's like when I lived in London, it was quite an expedition to get outside London, to go for a walk, you know, in the countryside. I've been in London a long time. My colleague in London said, if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. So, to do new things, it helps to make life interesting, because otherwise if you're stuck in the same routine, then life can be very boring, which isn't good, is it? It's not good for yourself, for your own mental health. And 11 years later, we're still here. We never thought we'd get permanent residency. You know, we never thought we'd get up to 7 years, but then you do, and that makes life easier. I get quite involved with the Cantonese culture. I don't restrict myself to expats, for example. So I go for long walks by the river near where I live, and there are lots of, you know, local Chinese, and I talk to them, and often their English is good, because often they've worked in the UK and then they've come back and built their house. And I have lovely chats with them. He told me that he was the same age as my mother, so in his 80s, mid-80s. We were walking along the river, and there were mountains along here. And I said, oh, then you must have been here in the Second World War. He said, yes. He said, my mother and him, he's a little boy, and his brother, I think, hid in the mountain hills, for 6 months because of the Japanese were occupying. Like where I'm living now, my view from my village house is right up to Tai Mo San, which is the highest peak in Hong Kong. I like the mixture of, well, I know it's mostly new, but there are some old places that you can go and visit. And even out on our hikes, you can find abandoned villages, which is very, you know, it's very mysterious. There's a lot of history in Hong Kong, which I haven't said about the Maritime Museum, which is just floor down. The only privately run museum in Hong Kong, and it's the best one. And if you've got limited time as a tourist, come here, go to that Maritime Museum. It's $30 for adults. It's fantastic, because the history of Hong Kong is maritime. I used to take some of my students there, actually, the ones I tutor, because it's just really, really good. It's much better than all the other ones, the other museums in Hong Kong. Yeah, and you get a great view of Victoria Harbour. And you can come up here and have carrot cake.